Okay, the first topic today we're talking about is intimacy amongst couple after childbirth. I picked this because a lot of I saw a trend, basically one trend before I saw other trend, where she gave birth 8 weeks ago, and the husband was expecting her to have started being intimate with him, but the woman is still a bit edgy, still, reluctant, not bothering, and and that is affecting the man, and the man is giving this reason or excuse that he will probably have to go out there and get what he wants. While another couple I saw she said bluntly, that's fine, I can't do anything for now, I have to heal up, I have to get myself, I have to do this, I have to do that. I don't mind if you have to go outside and get it, please just go. But for her, she wants to maintain herself. I just want to let me start with Buki first. What's your take about this intimacy? Of course, we know wifey had another twin, so so how was it for you? What did you do, and what is your advice for men? How can they go out this?
I think it's a two-way thing. You know, you need to get to a level of understanding with your spouse when it comes to childbirth, and that period in your marriage. Because whether you like it or not, nature will always take its course. And if you don't understand your wife, you think she's ignoring or she's not being sensitive to your own emotions and feelings. But the truth is that men and women, they differ in feelings and emotions, because for a man 2 months is like a long period of time, but for a woman, she in her mind, she's like, this man is supposed to understand, I'm just coming out from labor room, and I need time to heal, I need time for all that. So if both of them cannot come to a reasonable conclusion that, okay, my wife, this is how I feel, this is what I think should be happening in our marriage, and it's not happening, and the woman to try to communicate, because one of the most important part of marriage, I usually say to people, is that communication is one of the strongest parts of marriage. You have to communicate. If there's a communication gap, there's always a problem in the marriage. So if there's no communication, you will misunderstand your wife, or your wife will misunderstand you. But in the real sense, men should take it easy. More women, because some people, even while during pregnancy, they get so scared to get close to their husband. Some husbands during pregnancy, they get so scared to come close to their wives. And a lot of them, the fear of that labor room or coming out of that labor room, that fear, that anxiety, that shock is still there. It will be there for a very long period of time, especially when it has got to do with the first issue, before other experiences come in. So it has got to do with communication and understanding. If it's not there, trust me, some cannot wait that 2 months, for that 2 months to start to go out there and test run.
Okay, Abiodun, what's your take on this? You agree with Buki?
Yes, I definitely agree with him. But the thing is that for a lot of men, this is what I would say, that, you see, the fact that you are a man, you have to understand that, yes, there are certain emotional and psychological makeup framework that that determines the fact that you are a man. However, the fact that you are a man does not mean you should not have discipline. Discipline is key here. Yes, your wife just gave birth 8 weeks after 2 months. I'm sorry to say, I am not trying to castigate anybody, but that is not too long a time to wait. So, okay, let me allow my wife to
heal up,
and then afterward we can get back to whatever it is. So I would say men just need to take it easy.
Take it easy, women. Okay, I like this. Everybody's tuning to the side of the women. But but I hope we know, Pastor, I know you're going to answer this now. I hope we know that it's a man, in fact, that is complaining right now that he does not actually want to go outside, but he's telling the wife, 8 weeks is too much. Let's just do this thing. Now, is there another way a man can go about this while still in the waiting period, and also react to the other to the initial question, Pastor?
Oh, I think basically Masmoro Blazemamo said something. He said it's not just love that makes marriage work, it is understanding. Them knowing each other and being able to understand each other. A woman going through a phase of probably she went through CS, probably she went through tears and lots of that. And that healing period, the man, they might go into some non-sexual things like touching, cuddling, and lots of that, and better activities, and a better way to understand each other. Because, like Buki said, they can't. The communication is key. Communication is key, because a lot of men, because in the record, according to statistics in Nigeria, about almost 3 out of every marriage in 5 years, got broken. And these are factors that really make such things to happen. So understanding is key. If you don't understand each other, a woman should understand the man, because it's not just the man that will understand the woman. Sometimes the anxiety of not getting into sexual thing easily on time, the woman will want to be putting the man off, but you should understand the man has needs as much as the small has needs.
Yeah.
The big baby has needs as well.
It's really big baby. So you agree that men are big babies too? I like that one. Okay, now let's talk about the ladies that actually they don't mind, they don't care, and they are saying go out there and go and get it, because I'll probably even take more than 2 months to heal. What's now the reaction to that one? What do you say? She's not wayward. It's not like she wants to share her husband, but she's putting herself first at that point, I think, because for her to say, I just want to take my baby and take care of myself. So she's looking at maybe 3 months or so, and she's telling you, see, let me not just keep you in bondage. Go outside and go and get it. So what would you say about that?
That's a risky action to take, or a risky action in that respect, because I was just talking to somebody some hours ago. A lot of people are sick out there and they don't know, and a lot of people are sick, they don't want to share. So what about the risk factor? Your husband going out there to sleep with other women and coming back with diseases and all that. So sometimes before we take decisions, we should think deeply of the repercussion. So she might want to, like, this man is stressing me too much, this man is giving me too much pressure, let him just go. But in the long run, the disadvantage is you are exposing the man to a lot of dangers that you might not see at that initial stage. So I would advise, a woman to just quickly drop and say, just go. You can always talk about it. There's always a way out. I say that there's always a way out.
Okay, Abiodun, I want to told this line now. There are some women that postpartum depression, postpartum issues happen. Some of them, it's not like they get scared or the anxiety of having intimate with their partners or trying to, but at that point they don't even see it, they don't want to have it, their body can't take it anymore. There are a lot of persons like that. It's a serious kind of medical issue, because they have to deal with that one. I know, Buki, you want to say something about this?
Generally, that one is just hormone in different women. Some women, when they are during their menstrual flow, during the month, they are just always anxious. They always they get moody easily, they trigger after any little action. I think that has got to be more of hormones. Some women, they give birth today, the next morning they meet a man. Yeah, so hormones are different. I just wanted to say that before it comes in.
Okay, all right. But this one, Buki, is not hormones.
Okay.
This is something that happens so it's just like some persons, like, you can't say this is hormone after giving birth. Some persons have to be put into a mental home. That is a postpartum depression. It's another kind of issues that happen to some people. They just find out that they can't really do anything for themselves. They are so weak. Some of them are hospitalized. It's just unfortunate for them. Some women will tell you, after giving birth, I went through 3 months. I have somebody that I know, 3 months she could not carry her baby. Like, anytime she sees her baby, it's as good as she wants to fling the baby out of the window. You are saying, so you can imagine that. Yeah. So you can imagine that kind of extreme case. I'm looking at the extreme cases now of a woman telling you, see when it comes to, no, maybe when we want to have babies, I will find a way to do that, and when I want to do that, maybe I will take alcohol and get drunk, then you can do it, then I have the baby. But at that point, they just feel like they are dead to intimacy. What should a man do at that point?
Well, if you find yourself in a situation where your wife is in that kind of situation, there are not so many things in quotes you might be able to do. But counseling will do a lot of work.
Okay.
You might need to see a counselor with your wife. You might need to talk to your doctor. You might need to, take all that processes with her. Because again, she telling you that she's not ready, she's not in for it, and all of that might also be putting you in a situation where you might, if you don't go for counseling, you might be thinking that she's deliberately doing it on purpose. That might want to push you to go and look for solution. So I think they should go for counseling.
Okay, I totally agree. Okay, so let's go to the next topic. This one is the pros and cons of parents choosing spouse for their children. I'm going to come from the angle of pastoring. Yes, because you're a pastor. That's so now we have a lot of pastors that they tend to support parents who choose and spouses for their children, and they will tell you, see, what and a child will climb the tallest tree to see an elder sitting down who sees, and all of that. Listen to you, the advice of your mom, and even sometimes when they now tend to probably have some little issues before the marriage or after the marriage, you find that some of the pastors also will still tell you, no sister, you are the head usher, you can't leave the church, you can't leave the marriage, you can't do all of that. Now I'm towing the line down into the marriage. So what is your take on this this part of choosing spouses for their children, feeling that they have best advice, the best sight to see which is bad and which is good for their children?
It has pros and cons to this. The fact that parents are wise enough and they are best judge of character, and they can easily judge a woman or a man best for their children, knowing the makeup of the family, the cultural, understanding what will fit into their house, So it might be a better one, understanding the spec. While they are doing that, they should understand the spec their child will desire.
Yeah.
Because although most parents they don't do that, they just figure in their head and feel, okay, this one will be enough for their child. But in the process of doing that, if there's a need to do that, they should understand the spec, the compatibility. Because there are several compatibilities in marriage. There's economic compatibility, social compatibility, there are mental compatibility, financial, and a lot of things that they need to understand, especially the physical part, because that's what builds the chemistry. So they need to understand all of these things. But the cons of this fact is that it's just the chemistry. Because when they don't really put into consideration the compatibility, they will just see that they are matching two different people together. They are not even becoming one. And in the course of that, although we tend to, even as a pastor, we tend to encourage that the parents should get best and to get something like that for their child, all of that. But still, like what I said, they must figure out a lot of compatibility issues. So that they will not, in the long run, there will be no problem.
Okay, all right. And now this topic is coming up because I saw a video where a lady listened to the advice of her pastor and a parent, and of course, according to the pastor and the parent, they know what they saw. He's a good person. She had someone else in mind, but they said, no, that's not the one we no, this person is good, but this aspect won't work. But for what I'm seeing now, this young man is going to do very well for you. Now she went ahead with the marriage, and of course, years down the line, she regretted it because she became the sole provider of the house. Now that was not who she married, but when she got married, after a few years, she became the sole provider. There was hardly home. A lot of issues that started happening, that the children, one after the other, started leaving the house. They didn't even want to be around the home because the home was nothing to go back to. So at the end of the day, she had to cry out for help, and she left the marriage, and she's regretting that she ever listened to her parents' advice and also the pastor's advice. So I'm coming from this angle. Is it necessary that our parents should choose partners for us, even though they feel like they know? I feel like they should advise rather than choosing for us. Buki.
Yeah, you've actually said the right word, advice than choosing. I wanted to just correct that, advice rather than choosing. But a while ago, before I got married, while I was single, I used to be of this opinion that parents should not choose partners for their children. I used to say that a lot repeatedly, and Pastor mentioned a lot of conditions, why people can be compatible or why they should be compatible, but he missed out on the spiritual angle because it's two spirits coming together. So spiritually, there must be compatibility, because in the long run, if you're not compatible, I was on set sometimes and I mentioned the issues of fire, water, light, and all that. If fire gets married to water, there's a complication. If water marries the air sign, there's always a compatibility gap if you're not careful. So talking about parents, choosing a parent that might be older than you for like 30, 40 years, I've seen it all. If that parent is not greedy, selfish in his or her opinion, that mother or that father should be able to tell that this person, can actually live with you, or you people are going to stay longer together. I posted something recently. I said, as a parent, you should be careful who your children marry, because these days, if you're not careful, in whom your children get married to, I've seen cases personal, close to my family. Somebody got into the family and messed and disunited the whole family. Messed the whole
just
family
one
up.
person.
Just one person. Through marrying one of the children.
Whoa.
To turn the back of the father to this one, back. Everybody.
What?
Before 10 years, they are going their separate ways. So then it dawned on me that parents should be very, very careful. That person that is coming into your family too is very, very important. Because some people will marry your daughter, they'll take your daughter away, they will cut your daughter from your own family.
Yeah.
So you have to be extremely observant. That's why sometimes just in our generation we rush into marriage, everything is just fast. Sometimes you take time to study the spouse to be of your children. This person, okay, is he pretending? Is he industrious? Is he spiritual? Is he a corny person? Those are things that you will observe and you tell your child, okay, this is what I noticed. If you feel like going ahead, go ahead. But these are my observations as a father. You understand? Because marriage, I usually say it to people, marriage is a very, very deep thing. And the family system is one of the reflection of the society at large. So we have to take it very seriously. We don't take everything like marriage is marriage. Let them choose. I want them to be free, but no, we have to be intentional about who we allow our children to get married.
Very true. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. Abiodun, I want to ask this question from another angle. Like you said, one person single-handedly came and destroyed the whole family. That's amazing. I don't know how that did it. That person must be having a lot of battalions of spirits working with him or her. I don't understand.
People are very manipulative.
I don't like. So
they are good.
With that,
you cannot beat them to their game. They're ahead of you. That's all they know.
Wow. Anyway, so now for a person that is like that, now let's assume a parent has already cited such a fault for the partner. How do you make your children or your child see that thing without probably making it look like you want to destroy their relationship?
Okay. First and foremost, let's not forget that love blinds. When somebody is in love, sometimes when you are telling the person, you see this thing I'm noticing in this person, that person you are telling cannot see it because the person is in love. And that's why the Bible says that love covers a multitude of sin, covers mistakes, covers all these things that
blame else.
So if as a parent you notice such things, one, you cannot neglect the place of prayer. That what God is helping you to see, God will show your child to also see it. You cannot neglect that. And then two, you also have to find a way of if you are a parent who is authoritative, maybe that's how you brought your. At this point, you cannot say, "I am telling you."
You are not mine.
No, that does not work. You have to a way of sitting hard or sitting him down to discuss it, to let him see, to help him or her observe. Okay, I just go and observe this thing I'm telling you, rather than just say, I have seen it, it cannot work, it will not work. It will not work.
It will not work like that. Okay. So I want to ask now, from the extreme side of his now, let's assume, he, like he said, advice and still, because you said love covers everything you don't see. Now the person is not seeing what you're seeing, and with all your prayers, God is amazing that he might not even stop that marriage. The marriage will go on. Now the marriage went on, probably the person now sees exactly what the parent has been advising him or her. At that point, it's already in marriage. What would you advise such parents to do? Why I said this is because some parents now say, Sheba, I told you, you go back to marriage, you go and continue. And why some pastors, like I said, some pastors are like, okay, brother, let's find a way to balance this equation. Or sister, you can't do this, you can. Now, we have a lot of talks like that. Now, as a person, what would you advise, a pastor rather, what would you advise people to do, parents should do at that point? Should they advise them to divorce, get separated? Or, I don't know, would prayers work at this point in time? I don't know.
Basically, to start with, they should have sought the face of God. You know, because one of the key things is that when you are getting married, God has seen the beginning, the end, you know, the middle and the end. So they should have seen, instead of in the search of the lady or the guy for the lady, they should have sought the face of the Lord. But now, I haven't made the old mistake now. Now, going out of the mistake, you know, I saw this something. There's a practical example of such, you know, around me that happened. While we were telling the person, don't get involved, don't go ahead. Even myself personally, I can't see future in that distance. But the marriage crashed in 3 months.
Whoa.
Because eventually within 3 months, he saw the whole thing, and in fact, it was almost like threatening. So he had to cut off the wedding. So, but my advice is that, divorce is not biblical, but basically, when it's life threatening, we have no choice than to allow the two of them go their separate ways.
No, it's not even life threatening. Let's not put life threatening.
Okay.
It's just that the marriage at that point is not working. It's not life threatening.
Basically, they should go for counseling. Counseling upon counseling, communication. Counseling can, you know, one thing about awareness is that when you know that this thing, the path I'm taking can destroy my life. In a short time, you need to change. And prayers, because prayers, this part is this person's like this, that other person's like this. Keep counseling them. There are many people that after they have concluded on their marriage, they now come for counseling. They are supposed to go for counseling. I did one counseling before I got married.
Exactly.
They are supposed to do the counseling before the marriage, but after they have gotten to a point whereby they don't even understand the whole thing again, now they now come for that counseling. So that counseling can be of help. We have seen it help many times, and we have seen it fail still. You know, they still have to go their separate ways. You know, so but prayers and counseling, you know, we still do the job.
Okay, all right. Okay, yes, please.
Okay, I want to react to 2 things. First, about the issue of whether parents should. Parents choosing for their children is not as if it's totally bad. We see examples of that even in the Bible. Abraham sent a servant out to go and get a wife for Isaac. Isaac never saw the girl until, you know, it was time for marriage, and they got married. There was no dating, there was no so it worked. I mean, from what we know from the Bible, marriage worked. So it's not as if it's totally bad. But then again, time has evolved.
Changed.
Times have changed. So if you are going to go ahead and, you know, tell your child, or, you know, to marry this person or marry that person, again, it is not by imposition. You don't impose it. You must marry my friend's son. He just came back from America. No, that's not why you marry somebody. You know? So, but then again, if there are reasons why you think that this person is good for your child, table those reasons, and then of course let him or her also be able to see it and accept that, oh, this
is what it is
for me. That's one. Then going back to, you know, the issue on ground, counseling is good when you get to the point where, oh, you are not in the marriage, and then you now see that there are issues that, oh, and they told me and I didn't see it and all of that. Counseling is good, but then it may not be all there is needed, you know, because the person who is doing something wrong, what if the person is not open to counseling? What if you go for counsel and then the person is just sitting down there and say, okay, Shebi, we have come for the counsel. We are there to counsel what they want to counsel. And after you have the counseling, you get home and then the person continues
what is
So
okay.
there are times that, yes, as good as counseling is, it is not always the only thing that does the magic, if I put it that way. Especially if the person who is at fault is not open to change.
It's not even accepting the fault that he has.
It's not even accepting that he is wrong or she is wrong. So what are you going to cancel?
Yeah, I think I support what he's saying, because I usually say it to people. I say you cannot change people. You don't go into marriage hoping to change your spouse. You know, people can't change people. People can decide to change on their own. You know, times. Just like you rightly said, there's no matter what you tell people, no matter what you tell your spouse, until your spouse gets to that stage where he or she wants to change, nobody can talk him or her into wanting to change. You understand? So that's one of the mistakes a lot of people make in marriages, you know, hoping that things will get better. But if that individual have not made up his or her mind things will always continue the way
To
it
where
is.
it is. Okay. I'm just putting a lot of counselors out there because the kind of cases they will be having in this
Counseling before marriage, you know, it
It's-
prepares your mind.
yeah.
Better, you know, it prepares your mind. You know, go through. So people like this counseling is taking too long.
Yeah. Oh yes, a lot of these couples now, they don't want to rush it. Yeah.
That's the reality. In
Yeah, you said you did 6 months. Now they've even reduced it to 3 months
Yeah,
because
I
these
did 3
couples.
months or so.
Okay, you did 3 months. Because a lot of churches now reduce it because they find out that these couples are not even that patient to do. Some are even they just want to get married. I'm just saying for those who cancel couples that are in marriage, you guys are trying because I know you guys are going through a lot. Your ears are so full that sometimes I even pity them that they also need counseling. Imagine having to take the bags of trouble of people. Where do they deposit this thing? Anyway, that's the topic for another day. Maybe that day I'll bring a counselor to ask how they actually keep their own self in check because of all these things that they listen to.
Some of all these things that those issues we have in marriages, some of them, if you trace them back, it has got to do with upbringing.
Background.
Yeah, your background. You know, sometimes it takes a lot of, you know, you've lived a particular way for years, like 25 years, 30 years, and you're meeting this stranger and he wants you to live this particular way. So it will take time, you know, a lot of communication, like I usually say. Like for my wife and I, we had issue for the first 3 years of our marriage. My wife grew up in a setting, in a house where the parents lived in different rooms. I grew up in a setting where my parents lived in the same room. My wife said anything wrong in it, but me, I saw everything wrong in it. We had issues. You understand? It was afterwards, you know, like, so this thing has been wrong. I said, yes, it has been wrong. We went for counseling, a lot of pastors, a lot of elders. They told her it's wrong, but all the while she thought it was a normal life for parents or for couples to stay in different
separate.
rooms. So
counseling still works. You know, counseling works for you.
no, I think that one is 1 out of 10 cases.
Counseling is that's what transformation is all about.
He just said that is 1 out of 10. Probably maybe the least of the cases.
Because your wife accepted that at the end of the day, oh, it is wrong.
Yeah.
And she wants to make it work.
What if she does still not?
Yeah, that's going to be a problem.
She saw her parents like that.
Yes.
30 years.
So what? So what
Can
is
imagine. Okay, all right. So let's